6 years of marriage, a cozy home, shared dreams, and then, one day, it all crumbles in an instant. Lucy sat on the couch, absent-mindedly twisting her wedding ring, while Gerald watched her, already knowing something was wrong. But when exactly had everything changed? The answer came quickly, but it was far too painful. I need time. I want to understand how I feel about Tiago, her ex, the one who had once betrayed her, and now, it seemed, had found his way back into her thoughts. Gerald didn't make a scene, didn't beg her to reconsider. He simply realized that he had become the backup plan. But one thing he knew for sure: he was not the kind of man who would sit and wait for someone to decide if he was worthy of love. And if Lucy thought he would just step aside and wait, she was gravely mistaken. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from. Now, let's get started. I slouched into the couch, my gaze fixed on Lucy as she absent-mindedly twisted her wedding ring. The air between us felt oppressive, thick with unspoken words. 6 years of marriage, and I had always believed we were solid. But as I watched her from across the room, a single question gnawed at me. How did we end up like this? We first crossed paths at a birthday party thrown by a mutual friend. From the moment we struck up a conversation, I was captivated. She was sharp, self-assured, and carried an unfiltered honesty about life that I found refreshing. Our connection was immediate, and within a year, we were sharing a home. Everything felt effortless. Our ambitions, our plans, even our views on marriage and starting a family. She freelanced as a graphic designer, while I managed projects at a tech firm. Our lives blended smoothly, and while we weren't extravagant, we were happy. Marriage had always been something we talked about openly, but it wasn't until 2 years into our relationship that I finally proposed. There was no grand gesture, just the two of us at home over dinner. She teared up, threw her arms around me, and said yes. That night, we eagerly mapped out our future together: a fall wedding, an intimate guest list, a scenic venue by the lake. Everything seemed to be unfolding perfectly, or so I had believed. At first, the warning signs were so faint they were easy to dismiss. Little things, subtle shifts, I told myself, were inconsequential. In the beginning, Lucy was thrilled about wedding planning, flooding my inbox with Pinterest links, debating floral arrangements, agonizing over dress designs. Then, without warning, her enthusiasm evaporated. When I asked if she'd chosen her bridesmaids, she only shrugged. Not yet, still thinking about it. It was the same with her dress, the cake, even the music. Every choice we had once excitedly discussed became something she wanted to postpone. There's plenty of time, she'd insist. I reassured myself that she was just overwhelmed. Weddings could be stressful, right? And with her workload piling up, I chalked it up to that. What I failed to recognize was that her hesitation wasn't about the wedding. It was about us. The reality check came during a night out with friends. We were playing one of those ridiculous TikTok-style games where you had to answer personal questions without hesitation. It was all lighthearted fun, until someone asked, if you could relive any past relationship, which one would it be? Without missing a beat, Lucy answered, "Oh, probably Tiago." Tiago, her college ex, the one who had cheated on her. An uncomfortable silence settled over the group. She let out an awkward laugh, as if realizing too late what she had just admitted. I mean, not that I'd actually want to go back, she added quickly. It's just a significant part of my past. I swallowed the rising anger, forcing a neutral expression in front of our friends. But once we were alone, I confronted her. Why Tiago? Of all people, why him? She brushed it off with a dismissive wave. It was just a stupid game, Gerald. Don't read into it. Then she smiled, swiftly changing the subject. I let it go, unwilling to spark an argument over what might have been nothing. But deep inside, a seed of doubt had taken root. From that point forward, her behavior became impossible to ignore. She was glued to her phone, laughing at texts I wasn't privy to. She started canceling plans more often, offering vague excuses. "Work is insane," she'd say. Or, "I promised my mom I'd visit." Nothing outright damning, just small inconsistencies that, when pieced together, formed a larger, more troubling picture. I felt myself slipping further down her list of priorities. Then came the night everything fell apart. It was a Friday, and I had left work early, looking forward to a quiet evening together. I envisioned takeout, curling up on the couch, watching something mindless, just the two of us. But the moment I stepped inside, I sensed something was off. Lucy was on the couch, laptop open, but she wasn't working. She stared at the screen, lost in thought. "Hey," I greeted her, hoping to break the silence. She barely looked up. "You're home early." The flatness in her voice sent a chill down my spine. Brushing it off, I headed into the kitchen to start dinner. Normally, she would ask about my day, share something about hers. But tonight, nothing. Just silence. After a few minutes, I turned to face her. "Is something wrong?" She let out a deep sigh and closed her laptop. "Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about." My stomach twisted. There's a particular kind of dread that grips you when you sense something terrible is coming but can't stop it. My hands stiffened around the spatula. I forced myself to sit across from her. "All right," I said warily. "What is it?" She hesitated before delivering the blow. "I've been thinking a lot about us, and about Tiago." I almost laughed at the absurdity. "Tiago? What about him?" She bit her lip, avoiding my gaze. "I think I need time to figure things out. I want to take a break and see if there's still something there with him." Her words knocked the air from my lungs. "You want a break?" I repeated, disbelief heavy in my voice. "To revisit your ex?" She gave a slight nod, as if this were a logical, reasonable request. I stared at her, shaking my head. "Lucy, we're married." And just like that, the life I thought we had built together began to crumble. "That's not what I meant," she burst out, her words tumbling over each other as if sheer speed could undo the damage. "I just need to be sure about this, about us. And if I realize I made a mistake, I promise I'll come back." That was the moment clarity struck me like a bolt of lightning. The sheer audacity. She genuinely believed I would just sit around, waiting indefinitely while she decided if I was worth her love and commitment. Something inside me shifted. I didn't explode, didn't shout. Instead, I just sat there, staring at her, the weight of my own blindness settling over me. How had I not seen this coming? For a moment, words failed me. My wife had just admitted she wanted to put our marriage on hold to revisit things with her ex, Tiago. What was there to say to something like that? When I finally found my voice, it was steady, controlled. "And what exactly does this break entail?" She straightened, as if she had rehearsed every word. "I think we need space to figure things out. I need to know if my feelings for Tiago are real, and you should take time to reflect on us too." I blinked, struggling to process what I was hearing. I leaned forward. "So, you get to explore your past with your ex, and I get—" "What? Time to reflect? That's what you're telling me?" She let out a sigh, the kind that suggested I was being difficult. "Gerald, this isn't about you doing anything wrong. It's about me understanding what I truly want." The way she avoided my gaze told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a discussion. It wasn't even a request. She had already made up her mind. This was simply her way of informing me how things were going to be. "You realize how ridiculous this sounds, right?" I asked, my voice edged with disbelief. "You don't just put your husband on standby while you go experiment with your ex, especially one who treated you like trash." Her expression hardened, her resolve sharpening before my eyes. "I'm not asking for permission, Gerald," she said, her voice firm. I'm telling you what I need. That hit differently. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was livid. I shot up from my seat and started pacing, trying to keep my emotions in check. So, what's the game plan here, Lucy? I asked, my tone laced with bitter amusement. Are you just packing a bag and running straight into Tiago's arms? Is that how this works? No, she insisted, flustered. It's not like that. I don't even know what it looks like yet. But I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure. A short, humorless laugh escaped me. You owe it to yourself? And what about what you owe me? We're married, Lucy. We built a life together. And now you need to double-check if I'm the right choice? I never said you weren't good enough, she snapped, frustration creeping into her voice. But if we're going to spend our lives together, I need to be sure. And right now, I'm not. That was it. The final, brutal truth. It wasn't just about Tiago. She was unsure about me. 6 years of marriage, countless memories, a future we had been building, and she still wasn't certain. She actually thought what she was asking for was reasonable, that I'd just sit here and wait, like some fool, while she figured out what she wanted. I stopped pacing and met her gaze, really looked at her. You know what? I said, my voice eerily calm. Fine, take your break. Her eyes widened, caught off guard by my response. Gerald, I don't want to hurt you. I nodded, my face unreadable. All right, if that's what you need. She hesitated, as if expecting me to protest, to fight for her. When I didn't, she grabbed her laptop and muttered, I'll stay at my mom's for a bit. This isn't permanent. We'll talk when I've had time to think. Okay? Okay, I said simply. She lingered for a second, uncertain, before retreating to the bedroom. I heard drawers open, the rustling of clothes being hastily packed. I remained on the couch, unsettlingly calm, while my thoughts raced. If she wanted space, she could have it. But I wasn't going to sit around, waiting for her to decide if I was enough. Minutes later, the front door clicked shut behind her. She probably thought she had left me in limbo, drowning in uncertainty. She had no idea. I had no intention of playing the role of the abandoned husband. She could chase her fantasy. I had other plans. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. No knots in my stomach, no desperate urge to fix what she had broken. I brewed a cup of coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and felt free. Lucy had sent a few texts since leaving. I ignored them. She had made her choice. Now, I was making mine. The first thing I did was call my best friend Ryan. He had been my rock since college, and I knew he wouldn't sugarcoat things. When I told him everything, he showed up at my place with pizza, ready to talk strategy. Dude, you know she's going to come crawling back when things with Tiago crash and burn, right? Ryan said between bites. He wasn't wrong. The more we talked, the clearer it became. I needed to take control. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life. I started with the house. Lucy conveniently overlooked the fact that my name was the only one on the deed. She loved to act like it belonged to both of us, always going on about the decorations she had chosen and the colors she had carefully picked. But at the end of the day, I was the one covering the mortgage. First thing Monday morning, I got in touch with a real estate agent. After a quick walkthrough, we both agreed. There was no reason to wait. It was going on the market immediately. The housing market was on fire, and potential buyers were already lining up. Lucy had no clue. She probably imagined I was still sitting in what she considered our home, waiting for her to sort things out. Instead, I took action, methodically erasing her presence from my life. Remember those tacky, live, laugh, love signs she had insisted on plastering everywhere? Gone. The absurdly overpriced decorative pillows she just had to have? Donated. As for the clothes and personal items she left behind, I boxed them up. But I didn't just set them aside for her to pick up. Instead of waiting for her to collect them or casually dropping them at her mother's house, I took a more strategic approach. I hired a moving service to transport every last bit of her stuff to her mom's doorstep, along with a brief note. "Here's your stuff. Best of luck with Tiago." The divorce papers were delivered to the same address. I won't bore you with the gritty details of the divorce. Some might say I was being petty. I disagree. This wasn't about revenge. It was about decisiveness. She had asked for space, so I made sure she had all the space she could ever need. The best part? Watching how quickly the narrative shifted among our mutual friends. I didn't dramatize things or try to turn people against her. I simply stated the facts. Lucy had wanted to revisit things with her ex before fully committing to our marriage. I, in turn, had decided I wasn't interested in being anyone's backup plan. It was fascinating to see how people reacted. No embellishments, no theatrics, just the plain truth. And as Lucy's story unraveled, I turned my attention to something far more important: my future. I had been eyeing an opportunity at my company's West Coast branch for a while, and now, with nothing holding me back, it was the perfect time to make my move. With the house set to sell quickly, my fresh start on the other side of the country was becoming a reality. That's when Lucy finally noticed. It started with casual messages. "Hope you're doing okay." But as time passed and she realized I wasn't sitting around waiting for her, the tone of her texts grew more desperate. The breaking point came when her mother informed her that all her things had been delivered. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" she finally demanded. My response was simple. "Because it is over, Lucy. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." She broke down, insisting she just needed time, that I was moving too fast, that she never intended for things to end like this. "What exactly did you think would happen?" I asked. "That I'd just sit around, patiently waiting while you tested the waters with your ex? That's not how this works. But what if I realize you're the one I want?" she sobbed. "Then you'll have learned a tough lesson about taking people for granted," I replied before hanging up. Strangely enough, I wasn't even upset anymore. If anything, I felt lighter. Every step, every packed box, every decision felt like reclaiming a part of myself I had unknowingly given up. Even my friend Ryan noticed. As he helped me clear out the house, he remarked, "You seem different, more focused." He was right. I had changed. When Lucy first told me she needed to explore her feelings for Tiago, it felt like my world was falling apart. But now, I saw the truth. It wasn't my world collapsing. It was the illusion I had been living in that was finally crumbling. There's more to this story, but I'll save that for later. For now, I'll leave you with this. The best way to respond when someone treats you like an option is to remove yourself from the equation entirely. This wasn't the end, far from it. And something told me Lucy's plan to figure things out hadn't played out the way she expected. Since then, a lot has unfolded, and I want to share how things have progressed. First off, a huge thanks to everyone who offered support and advice. Many of you told me to keep moving forward instead of waiting around, and you were absolutely right. I stayed busy, executing my plans. The house sold faster than expected, and even went above the asking price. The closing process was seamless. Lucy only found out through mutual friends, refusing to believe it until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in. Then, an unexpected twist. Tiago, the ex she had left me for, reached out. He sent a long message explaining that he never intended to cause problems and that Lucy had been in contact with him for months before she ever mentioned needing space. Turns out, she had been laying the groundwork for this for quite some time, carefully hedging her bets. The best part? Tiago dumped her. His reasoning was brutally simple. If she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. Lucy's professional life took a hit as well. Not because I said anything, just because word spreads fast. Many of her former clients moved on to other designers. One of her biggest contracts even reached out to me. "We heard what happened. We need someone who can commit to long-term projects. Do you know any reliable designers?" I referred them to a skilled acquaintance. They got the job. Call it karma. As for Lucy, her social media breakdown has been quite the spectacle. It began with sorrowful musings on the anguish of losing a soulmate, quickly followed by resentful complaints about how some people simply resist personal growth. Soon after came the ostentatious displays of joy, as if she were desperate to convince the world she was flourishing. But the most striking move was her grand announcement of launching her own design firm, a venture that quietly unraveled within days when she resumed submitting job applications. A week ago, her sister reached out to me once more. Lucy had moved back in with their parents, insisting she needed time to heal from our breakup. Her sister's words lingered in my mind. She genuinely thought you would wait for her. But when I sold our house and left town, that illusion shattered completely. The most satisfying moment arrived during a video call with our old friend group. We were exchanging stories and indulging in local gossip when someone mentioned spotting Lucy at a cafe, floundering in front of a potential client as she struggled to explain why her portfolio website was down. She had apparently forgotten that I had always been the one managing and maintaining it. When the hosting expired, she had no clue how to restore it. Not my problem anymore. Now, my life in San Francisco is exactly what I had envisioned. My apartment offers a breathtaking view of the bay, and the city's tech scene is a wellspring of inspiration. I work alongside a brilliant team that prioritizes progress and innovation over petty drama. I've taken up rock climbing, started learning Spanish, and even adopted a rescue dog named Danny, who, if I'm being completely honest, is far more loyal than my ex-wife ever was. The tech community here has been incredibly welcoming. Just last week, I had the privilege of speaking at a major developer conference, an opportunity I would have never had if I had stayed behind. It's astonishing what one can accomplish when no longer burdened by the wrong company. My final interaction with Lucy came in the form of an email. She requested access to old photos from our shared cloud storage. Unfortunately for her, I had already saved what mattered to me and deleted the account weeks prior. Her message read, "I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 6 years meant something." My response was succinct. "You're absolutely right. Those years taught me precisely what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson." Some mutual friends insist I'm being too harsh, that I should be more sympathetic toward her so-called moment of indecision. But this wasn't just a fleeting lapse. It was a conscious choice to keep me as her backup plan while she pursued something she assumed was better. The most important lesson I've taken from this entire ordeal is that sometimes the worst experiences are merely stepping stones to the best chapters of life. Had Lucy not exposed her true nature, I might have remained in that marriage, only to discover her real self years later, perhaps with children involved. Instead, I find myself in a dynamic city, thriving in my career, building new friendships, and genuinely excited about what lies ahead. The sting of betrayal has long since faded, replaced by gratitude for the disaster I so narrowly avoided. To those who followed my story and offered their support, thank you. Your encouragement kept me strong when doubt tried to creep in. And for anyone experiencing something similar, remember this: when someone shows you their true colors, believe them the first time. Don't cling to the hope that they'll change their mind about you. Life is too short to be someone's backup plan. Sometimes the best decision you can make is to walk away and create a life that's truly your own. This story has come to an end. Life is too short to be someone's backup plan. When someone has doubts about you, that's already an answer. Love shouldn't be a test or a comparison to the past. It either exists or it doesn't. Gerald could have waited, hoped, and fought, but he made the best choice. He chose himself. He didn't seek revenge or cling to someone who didn't value him. He simply walked away and built a life where he was never just an option. Lucy's story is a reminder. If you lose someone who truly valued you, you might have lost the best thing you ever had. And for everyone else, cherish those who choose you without hesitation. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.